Hey guys, and welcome back to my lifting series where I record as much of my progress as I possibly can. That includes pretty much every single set and rep, barring maybe some boring stuff at the end, which I will fill you guys in on if I end up doing it. Today is week 1, day 5 of my MyoMax training program. It's a brand new training program that I just released. You guys can get it in the description. It's $10 if you want it, but honestly, you guys do not need to purchase it whatsoever because, again, it's all recorded. It's all on camera. You guys can totally just follow along the videos. There's timestamps and everything if you want. But if you want it for your own records, if you want to record it yourself, then I do recommend purchasing the program. But again, you don't need it. Anyway, today is a lower body day. So we're actually starting off with the Smith machine back squat, and then we'll get into the Smith machine RDL. The Smith machine back squat is something that I decided to keep for my last program. Just because I liked it so much. It adds a lot of stability to the lower body, and you can really just push through failure a lot easier than something that's more of a free weight squat. So let's get into set number 1. Just to provide you guys with some context to that set, we're doing the same exact weight that I did last time. Last time I did this exercise, which is a 45 on each side, a 25 on each side, and a 10 on each side. So if you're not including the bar, that's about 160 pounds. I know it's not super impressive or anything. I'm slowly, gradually working my way up with the best form that I can possibly do. In the early days of me lifting, I definitely did not have good squat form or good depth or anything like that. I would definitely stop shy of parallel. And now I'm going until my calves touch my hamstring, so as deep as I possibly can. And I just think that that is a much better form, not only for injury prevention's sake, but also for muscle growth and strength production sake. So I'm really just hammering in that form, trying to get quality reps and moving up from there. For instance, I did a lot more warm-up sets than I would a couple of years ago when squatting. Previously, I'd probably only do one warm-up set and get straight into it. Today, I did a 25, a 35, a 45, then a 45 and a 25 on each side. So I did 4 warm-up sets, and then I just did my first working set. I think that's just an ideal way to do it, especially for legs. Something I haven't really brought up regarding my squats is I always actually do a back squat, and I do kind of a lower bar position. I have a little bit longer femurs than the average individual, and therefore to keep the best balance and force output and not lean too much forward, you want to have the bar as a counterbalance. So I have it lower down on not my upper traps, but more my mid traps, so that when I'm squatting, I'm not leaning far forward, because if the bar were up, if it were high bar, I'd be leaning forward more just because of my anatomy. So I do it that way. And then I've never really been big on front squats. I know that people like it a lot, but the way I see it is pretty much everyone is weaker at front squats than they are back squats. So you're probably leaving some tension and some muscle damage on the table, so to speak, when you are working front squats instead. You're using less muscles too, because by having the bar in front of you, you're just focusing more on your quads. You're not getting as much glute work. So I don't know. Just depends on how much you want to get out of your squats. And I think that a back squat, you get a little bit more out of that overall. But if your primary goal is quad growth, then maybe a front squat may be worth trying out. Okay, next up I'm moving on to the Smith machine deadlift, the Romanian deadlift to be exact. So it's kind of like a mimic of day 2's RDL, except instead of using the free weight barbell, we're doing the more stable Smith machine. My Smith machine, for whatever reason, has like little safety pads that you can only go down so far, so it's really hard to get a full range of motion, and therefore I grabbed some like little blocks to stand on top of. After doing my warm-up sets, I don't know if it's going to be high enough, but we're just going to go for it this time, and if it's not high enough, the next time I'll go up. I'm doing 245s on each side, so you know, on paper that'd be like 245, but in this case I don't know if I would count it because I don't know how much the Smith machine bar is. It's definitely not 45. But anyway, let's get into the first set. This Smith machine also curves a little bit, so it's going to be curving down a tad, or a tad forward. May feel kind of awkward. We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna call it an 8 while I get used to it. I think I was still like around 2 or 3 reps shy of failure, so I'll count it as a successful set, but it definitely could have been a little bit better. There's a little bit of a learning curve to any new movement that you add in your program or your routine. There's always going to be a little bit of a learning curve to get associated with it. Honestly, after reviewing the footage, I think that my depth should be better. These damn guards, and therefore next time I'm definitely going to raise the pad even further. It's one of those like blocks that you can attach other blocks to, if you guys know what that is, if that rings a bell. So next time I'll go higher, I'll also go heavier. But for now, since it's a new exercise, I'm just gonna ride this out. We're gonna feel it out, not rush into anything. I do really love the stability component though. I mean, I feel so locked into place. It's very easy to concentrate on the muscle groups that I'm trying to concentrate on. I think that's a big downfall with like ultra free weight exercises. Like the barbell variation of this, yeah, you can feel it, but there's so many other variables going on, like balance and coordination and stuff like that, you know, that you have to account for. But with something that's stable, like the Smith machine RDL, you can just focus on thrusting with your glutes, contracting your hamstrings, raising your back, keeping your lats tight, all that stuff. What's really tragic about this whole thing is I'm only like 2 inches shy of of like the depth that I require to get the most out of the lift. I'm so close to it, except for these darn safeties. Whoever designed these didn't have full range of motion deadlifts in mind, that's for sure. All right, let's move on. All right, folks, now that we're done with the two major compound lifts of today, we're getting on to some marginally easier stuff. Of course, the plate loaded leg press is not an easy exercise. You get a ton of leg growth out of this, but I do consider it easier than squats and deadlifts. So we're kind of going down the tier, making it a little bit easier by each and every exercise. We're just doing a couple sets here. I'm jumping up in weight because this program has 8 to 12 repetitions for the leg press, and the last one had like 10 to 15 or something like that, I believe. So anyway, I'm doing 4 plates on each side and then a 25. That should be a good little jump. I think that's like a 30-pound jump from last time. I've spoken about it before that jumps on the leg press, everyone is tempted to jump up like 45s on each side every time. I'm trying to do more slow incremental jumps. So, you know, like 10 at a time. I guess I'm kind of being a hypocrite here by going up 30, but I'm not going for the same repetition count. I'm going for at least like 8 reps instead of, 10 or 12. So it should be doable. Something that I want to talk about real quick is the thing of protein. Like for the longest time, I did not get in enough protein, and now I finally do. And the reason that I do isn't because I'm like just eating a lot more chicken, broccoli and rice, or more salmon and vegetables or something like that. It's because I'm just supplementing with more protein shakes. I was so hesitant to do that in the past just because protein is expensive. Protein powder can really add up in terms of cost. But I'm choosing to make the sacrifice. And I think that if you guys are really putting the time in and the effort in the gym, then what's a couple more dollars to make sure that you're achieving what you want out of it. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, I think that I may have had the intensity technique of long length partials included in this. So I'll probably try and hit that on the next set. It's just kind of difficult when I'm pushing the weight at the same time, but we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that I get the long length partials on this set. I got the safety set up just in case. Okay, I'm gonna try and do those partials. It's kind of scary doing it on the leg press. That's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me. I'm going to have to get used to that because honestly, it shouldn't be scary. The leg press has built-in safeties and it's very easy to rack it. So it shouldn't be a scary thing. it just is for me because it's the first time I've ever done long leg partials on the plate loaded leg press. It was a lot easier on the machine version, let me tell you. Next up, I'm doing an exercise which I've never ever done. This is a brand new exercise for me. And the reason why I include it, well, let me just say the name of the exercise first. It's the unilateral hip thrust with a dumbbell. So I'm gonna be focusing on just using one kind of side of my body at a time, so unilateral style. And then the other leg is just gonna kind of be a kickstand. It's gonna be barely doing anything. I watched some demonstration videos just to make sure that I had a good idea, and a lot of them, the guy or girl would have their leg totally up in the air. I'm not gonna do that because I don't wanna completely like remove a whole balancing component and struggle with my stability. I still wanna be stable, but I just wanna focus on one glute. And you know, the main reason why I included this is just because I didn't wanna do barbell hip thrust twice in 1 week, but I still wanted some direct glute work, some direct hip thrusts. So anyway, I'm gonna start decently light. I just did one warm-up set. My glutes are already firing, so I don't really need like a warm-up in that regard, but just kind of used to exercise, I needed a warm-up. And I just did 50 pounds and that was pretty easy. So I'm gonna do 60 for the working sets. Hopefully I like this one because it's in the program, but I don't see why I wouldn't. And honestly, like, I think that when trying out a new exercise, it's good to give it at least a good amount of time before you shuffle it out. So I'm keeping the activated leg at about 90, and then we're just gonna okay, I'm gonna rest for a sec and then do a rest pause set. Okay. Okay, that was my right side. So I'll be doing my left side shortly. That actually felt really good. I felt that tremendously in the target glute on the right side of my glutes, my right glute. So I like it. It feels a little bit awkward at first, but once you get a few reps in, it's just smooth sailing from there. I especially like that I can just focus on one glute at a time. I've never done a unilateral glute exercise ever. So it's kind of nice to just be able to hone in on one glute. And I mentioned this last time, but who doesn't want bigger glutes? Especially for the ladies out there. I know that a lot of ladies, they specialize their lower body days for their glutes. And I don't think that's a bad idea, you know? I don't think that's a really bad idea. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Okay. Now for the rest pause. Okay, set numero dos. When I'm putting the dumbbell on my leg and making sure that it's really only on one leg, at least to the best of my ability, I tried putting it like vertical like that, but that didn't feel right. I ended up running into some range of motion issues. Okay, so we can get right into the second one. All right, let's move on. Next up, I'm attacking the bilateral quad extension. I love the quad extension because you're training your quads in a way that you can never on the squat. You know, there's so much more going on a squat versus a quad extension is just working on that knee extension aspect, which is very rare to find in any exercise. You can mimic it with like a reverse Nordic or a sissy squat, but it's not to the same degree. So I'm doing a drop set. I'm going up 5 pounds. It's to 140. And we'll drop it down once we get failure. And I'm gonna drop it down to 100. Yeah, I got 12 full range of motion, and then I think that was, shoot, I'll have to look back, I think maybe 8. All right, unfortunately, I think that this is gonna be my last exercise that I record for today, but after this, I'm doing 2 sets of the seated hamstring curls to finish off legs. And then I'm doing 3 sets of cable crunch and upright rows, and then a couple sets of the captain share leg raises just for some abdominal work. But I mean, I recorded all of the most important stuff for the leg day, barring the seated hamstring curl. The only reason why I'm not recording that is because it's really hard to get a good angle. But anyways, I'm gonna finish out this set, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow for the last day of week 1. Yeah, dropping it down to 100. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.